There's a conversation happening in your head right now that has nothing to do with what you say out loud. And that conversation, the quiet one, is the real manifestation. That's actually your real manifestation practice. The story that you keep telling yourself when nobody's looking. And that's the one doing most of the work. Today, we're going to take a look at it. So here's what I want to start with. When we think about manifestation, a lot of us quickly jump to all the vision boards, the morning routines, the gratitude lists. And those things help. Yes, they do. But there's a layer underneath all of this that nobody talks about. It's the conversation you're having with yourself in between those practices. In the car, before you fall asleep, when something didn't go the way you wanted, when you're, just looking in the mirror, when you check your phone and see nothing changed, and that quiet running commentary. Neville Goddard called this the inner conversation. And his whole point was this: your inner conversation is always creating, whether you're paying attention to it or not. So if your inner conversation is, I am trying, but I don't think this is really going to work, or I'm not sure about this, that's the assumption. And then your reality will reflect that. And that's not because the universe is punishing you, but that's just how assumptions work. I noticed this in myself about a year ago. I was doing all the right things on the outside. I was journaling, writing the gratitude lists. I was saying all the affirmations. I genuinely wanted the shift. But in between all of that, in the quiet moments, my inner conversation was still running in the background. And it kept running the old story. Like, is it even going to work? Like, is this all even going to work? Other people seem to nail it or get it faster than me. That conversation. Maybe I'm not the person this works out for, all of that. And then I suddenly realized that was the practice, not the journaling, that I was keeping myself safe in my old story, keeping myself safe in the uncertainty. Because if I never fully assumed, I would never have that disappointment. So I was really saving myself from that. And that protection was the very thing that was keeping me away from that shift. So here's what shifted for me. The inner conversation that we have is just not commentary. It's like an instruction. Whatever you keep saying to yourself about who you are, what's possible for you, whether this is going to work out or not, your subconscious will treat that as a direction, not a thought, but a fact, because it doesn't know. So the question isn't, am I doing the right technique? It's more of, what inner conversation am I having with myself? If this is landing, subscribe. Everything on this channel comes from this perspective. I am not teaching this from the other side for somebody who already figured out, who already figured it all out. But I'm in it with you, still noticing my inner conversations. Still learning to shift. So come along, drop a comment. I want to know what your inner conversations are like when things are not working. You don't have to have an answer. You can just name it. And that's already the beginning of the shift. So here are 3 things that actually help me change my inner conversation. Not forcing it, but gently redirecting it. The first one, notice before you try to change anything. Just start listening. Spend one day just trying to notice that quiet commentary. What do you say to yourself when you wake up in the morning and nothing has changed, right? So you're trying to change something. Notice when you wake up in the morning, it hasn't changed. What do you say to yourself? What's that voice that runs in your head when you're in traffic, doing the dishes, or lying in bed? Because you can't shift a conversation you haven't heard yet. And you don't have to fix it now, just notice it. That's the first shift or the first change. The second shift, ask a different question. Most inner conversations run like, why isn't this still working? What's wrong with me? How is this even going to happen? Because those questions go running to your brain, start looking for answers, and then confirm the problem. Instead, just try this. Like, what would I be thinking if this was already mine? Instead of, how's this going to happen? Not when, just, what would my inner conversation sound like if I assumed this was already done or it was already mine? It could be a job, some money, your relationship, anything. You don't even have to believe it yet. Just try it. Try that question even for a minute. Okay? The third shift, and this is what I keep coming back to. Treat your inner conversation like a practice, not a performance. And you don't even have to notice every negative thought, and that's okay. You just have to keep coming back to the conversation of somebody who assumes that matches who you are becoming. Real doesn't always mean true. The old story feels real just because you've practiced it for way too long. And you can now practice a different one. I want to leave you with this. The version of you who already has what you want. She has a different inner conversation. Not a perfect one, not loud, confident, or affirmation repeating one, just a quieter one. One that stopped arguing with what she wants. The one that says, of course, instead of I wonder. You just have to start noticing that gap of the inner conversation of where it is right now and where it needs to be. That gap is a practice, and you're already in it just by watching this. Follow along if you're learning this too. If this helped even a little bit, the best thing you could do is subscribe because a lot is coming on this channel with the same angle. And it's not about doing more or pushing harder, it's just about shifting the quiet things, the inner things. That's what this channel is for. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.